Hi, everyone. I'm Gayent Smith. I'm the founder of Mental Health California and the project director for Brother Be Well. And tonight we are talking with an exceptional group of men who have a focus on wellness for boys and men of color. And we're going to be focusing on men and mental health, particularly for African American men. So considering the time frame of approximately 10 years between the onset of mental illness and treatment and recovery, there's quite a gap sometimes in people seeking treatment. So we want to explore the reasons behind this and why are men so slow to come to mental health care sometimes, and how our community can come together to support their very own. And joining me in this discussion is our content director for Brother Be Well, Mykel P. Coleman. We appreciate you being here, Mykel. It's great to see you.
Anytime, Christine. Great to be here.
Definitely.
Looking forward to beginning this conversation, and we're joined by several folks that we're quite excited about. We've got Carter Todd with us today. He's the president of the Capital City Black Nurses Association. Carter, how's it going?
All right.
Good to see you. We've got Mykel Gayent, Brother Be Well's own Mykel Gayent. He's a fabulous contributor and a peer specialist for Brother Be Well. Mykel, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm fantastic, thanks. And we're also joined by Dr. Mykel Houston. He's a Brother Be Well clinical advisor and friend to all of us. How are you doing, Dr. Houston?
Doing good, sir. Good to be here. Thank you.
Really looking forward to the talk. I know everyone's busy, so we'll be respectful of your time, but we've got a few questions that we want to unpack tonight. And as we get started, I think I want to look back just a little bit. Historically speaking, why have men of color dealt with mental health? Rather, how have they dealt with mental health historically?
Well, historically, as far back as I can remember, even thinking about my father, who was a World War II vet. Of course, it was years before I and many other family members realized he had been going through anything, because the things he saw, the deaths he saw. He didn't sleep well. He cried at night. But if you talk to him about it, he would just say there was nothing was wrong. And he go on about life, discouraging any questions about his past. And he had a hard time dealing with it for many years. And of course, I grew up to emulate him more than I wanted to. I've actually followed in his footsteps by joining the Army. I raised a family, and at first I tried to raise a family like he did, till I realized what I was doing. I later talked to some people, talked to some friends, and learned how to actually raise my children. And thank God I did. I have 4 great children, and it's a pattern that I've seen from friends in the neighborhood, other relatives, people that I've met in the Army. We all ended up in running from something, trying to get away from something, and the behaviors just continued until I got to a point where I found out that I was suffering from mental disease, and I had to learn how to do something about it. And what I did was at first trust the the clinicians where, all they wanted to do was give me pills. And when I found out that that wasn't working and I wasn't really getting the adequate support that I needed, I fought for years to get a therapist and a psychiatrist that I could really work with. And today I have both. And they're really helping me, and they're really proving that they're about my progress. And, so I've come a long way with their help. I stopped taking medications for 3 years and just recently got back on them. But I agreed to talk it over with the psychiatrist, and we discussed what he thought I should take. And after doing some of my own homework, I decided to do it. And I see that it is helping. So I'm taking medications for mood, and I see that it's helping. Wow. So I think, one of the things I want to make sure that people understand is while I didn't take medications, I'm not against it. I think medication is good for those who truly need it. And it's up to us to determine whether or not we need it.
Doctor, thanks for sharing that story, Mykel. It's a powerful one. I'm curious to ask our experts how Mykel's story may or may not dovetail with the way men of color have traditionally or historically dealt with mental health. Maybe start with Carter. What do you have to say on that?
Yeah, so again, thank you for sharing that. That's why I think it's important that, the narrative gets held by ourselves and we get the word out there. From a historical perspective, I think Black men specifically, folks have been taught or imaged to kind of suppress their feelings, right? And we fall back on this masculine self-reliance. We get back into our work. We get back into, caring for our family, being providers, and not really combating the mental health issues that we're finding. So I think historically, Black men suppress it. And that's difficult to do because, as we all know, when it comes to your mental health, until you acknowledge, until you spend the work and the time, it's not something that just will go away, right? If you have a cancer and you don't treat it, it's not going to just go away. So mental health, I think, for Black men historically has been treated as such that if you just put it under the rug, we don't have to worry about it.
Wow. And what about you, Dr. Houston?
Yeah, I mimic the same sentiments. I think that the Black men have just compartmentalized, mental health. And it was frowned upon, just growing up where, if you were, mentally ill, you were considered weak or, you were considered less of a man. And then at that particular time, you were looked upon as, weird or somebody that was strange, and you were ostracized even the more so during that particular time. Whereas now I think that the image has changed. And I think that Black men specifically have basically taken the position to taking care of their kids. I think that the research shows even with men of color taking care of their kids even the more so, and giving back to their kids what they didn't receive. So, you see more men now, and with that, you have a transition of power from the women, let's say if it's Black women, to now Black men, the power exchange of who's going to be the caregiver and what's the household going to look like. That's a shift in power as well. And with Black men dealing with now all of these, separate responsibilities, taking care of the household, taking care of his kids, I think that is, I'm not going to say that that's something that is extra because the Black men should be doing that anyway. But I think that as a result, it has created a gateway for our young Black men now to be able to express themselves freely, to be able to make these particular stands and be more affectionate. So hugging, telling them that we love them, hugging, all of those different affectionate things that didn't per se happen, let's say in the 80s, or, it kind of gradually happened, progressed in the 90s, and now in the, 21st century, we're seeing that as normal now, whereas before it wasn't.